on the hurry up. What is the latest on the Raiders coaching search?
Well, you and Jeremy Fowler said that they're supposed to meet at some point this weekend with Clint Kubiak, the Seahawks offensive coordinator. And that would explain why we have a little bit of a hang-up on these last two openings in Vegas and Arizona. Because it certainly seems like, from what you both say, that the Raiders and Cardinals both want to meet and speak with Clint Kubiak before they make a final decision about who their head coach will be.
Okay, Joe Brady today is going to be introduced as the Bills head coach. You just tweeted it out. He's in shorts up there in Buffalo. Joe Brady, head coach, what are your thoughts?
Listen, this is somebody that they wanted, somebody that is connected to Josh Allen. There's continuity here. He had interviewed with the Las Vegas Raiders. He was in line for any number of offensive coordinator jobs. And the Bills didn't even make it really to a second round of interviews. Before they got there, they got to Joe Brady. They identified him as the guy and gave him a 5-year deal.
Lastly, Brian Daboll chose the Tennessee Titans to be their new offensive coordinator. He had other options. Where does that leave, though, the Philadelphia Eagles, who interviewed Daboll?
I know there's panic in the streets of Philadelphia over who the Eagles will choose as the offensive coordinator. And I'm here to say, calm down. They have interviewed 8 different offensive coordinator candidates. They will wind up hiring somebody that they believe has a great NFL future. Somebody that I'm watching right now would be Sean Mannion, the Green Bay Packers quarterbacks coach, who interviewed for a second time with the Philadelphia Eagles yesterday. If you talk to people around the league who have been around Sean Mannion, they speak very highly of him. Wouldn't surprise me if he wound up being the guy in Philadelphia, and it wouldn't surprise me if a few years down the line, Sean Mannion turned out to be a prime head coaching candidate.
All right. Well, Adam doesn't just talk and say things. Sean Mannion's a name to watch, obviously. The last 2 weeks, though, there's been a little bit of hysteria in the streets in Philly about why is no one wanting to line up and be our offensive coordinator. The offensive coordinator job in Philadelphia, do you view that, Dan, as a desirable one?
Of course. Of course.
You want it?
Take it, Dan.
I watched Sean Mannion play.
I was a teammate of Sean Mannion.
I was going to say,
Sean Mannion, very smart. Reminded me a lot of Kellen Moore. This is what I would say about the Philly OC job. It's a needle in a haystack type of thing, okay? Number one, you got to hire somebody that you think is going to be good at the job, right? That's capable of doing that job. Number two, I don't necessarily want someone that's their first time doing it. Sean Mannion, who would be first time calling plays. I don't feel great about that coming off of the offensive season that they just had. Number three, you better be mentally tough. That is a tough market. You better be mentally tough. You better know what you're walking yourself and your family into. That's just the truth, okay? That's just the truth. The fourth thing is, I don't want somebody that's going to leave in a year if I'm Philly. I don't want someone that thinks, okay, I'm going to go there for the year and then I'm going to propel myself to another bigger job, because that's been the routine. And I think that's got to give Philly just a little bit of caution. So, like, this is the perfect storm that you're trying to weather right now if you're Philly.
You're worried about this year. And the good thing is, though, the price of eggs has gone up. So it's going to be very expensive if anybody wants to egg
a real thing,
the house
man.
of the future offensive
That's a real
coordinator.
deal. You know, Adam jokes about it. Guys, I go to you like, Kevin Patullo's house or whatever it was, there was a talk of that it got egged, and that might not be something that every offensive coordinator or every offensive coordinator's wife wants to deal with when you go into a market. What do you guys think? Philly as a job, as an offensive coordinator position with all the things that go with it?
I have a question for Schefter. Out of those 8 interviews or those 8 candidates that they interviewed, how many of them took other jobs? Do you know that?
Mike McDaniel, I don't know if he ever interviewed or pulled out. Brian Daboll to the Tennessee Titans. So that's 2 right there. By the way, Mike McDaniel, where's his wife from? Southern California. Where did she want to go? Southern California. Philadelphia could not compete with that. Brian Daboll, close friend of Robert Saleh, wanted to work with Cam Ward last year. A lot of appealing elements to Tennessee. So I don't view it as these people turning down Philadelphia so much as it is being drawn to opportunities that anybody in any line of work would gravitate to.
No, I understand that. I just feel like there's been like 7 OCs or 7 play callers go elsewhere, go off the board, to where it's like my brain is like, why would a play caller not want to go to Philly with the roster that they have, the talent level on offense? You have Jalen Hurts as a quarterback. They just came off of winning the Super Bowl last season. why would any play caller not want to flock to Philadelphia?
Yeah, and to Dan's point about not wanting a first-time play caller, like that's probably the easiest drop-off is the easiest thing to do to have a first-time play caller with that roster that you have. All you have to do is be somewhat creative. And Dan, I know we joked about it, but you get them boys under center, huh? You run a little extra tackle. You can get a lot of things done, especially with that offensive line. You can get it done. Now, when it comes to they're egging my house, it's like, listen, I feel bad for the man and his family, but football is not for the faint of heart. Philadelphia Eagles, they've always been psychopath fan bases, but it's like, you got to answer the bell. And I mean psychopath is like a compliment. Like, you want all your fan bases like that. Yeah. So it's like if that's too much for you, then you shouldn't even be in contention.
You got to know. Anyway. You got to know what you're signing up to. Signing up.
Gotta know. You got to know, no doubt. But it's like
coaches are worried about the mental fortitude it takes to live in Philly as much as it is. We know the fraternity of coaches that everybody talks to each other.
Yeah.
No matter what, about jobs, about everything, and everything that we've heard internally about Philly throughout the year leads me to believe that coaches are sitting there talking to where some guys might be like, "Hey, I'm going to go take this other opportunity instead of going to Philly."
Exactly.
10 days away from Super Bowl 60. And the Patriots said quarterback Drake Maye would have been limited if the team had practice yesterday, but it's because of that injury he suffered to his right shoulder during the AFC Championship game. Now, per league rules, both New England and Seattle were required to submit something called projected injury reports ahead of today's first practice. Dano, you hear this shoulder injury, throwing shoulder 10 days before the Super Bowl. It does raise some level of concern, no?
Yeah, it does. It obviously makes you take a step back and be like, okay, where is he post that injury, certainly in the game, and then how much they think it's going to impact him and his ability to play. Pain tolerance can be handled. Pain tolerance is one, your individual pain tolerance, and two, there's ways that you can go about managing that. I would say this in regards to the game that Drake has to play. Precision. Precision is needed against this defense. If you just watch this defense play in Seattle, and certainly in the playoffs and in the NFC Championship game, Matthew Stafford had a big game, but it was also because some of the passes were absolutely flawless. Can Dre replicate that given that shoulder injury or hindrance? That's going to be the biggest stepping stone for him and that offense.
You said something earlier in the show. I'm going to ask you. You said he has to play the best game of his Patriots career to win this game. Is that because of the respect you have for Seattle or because of the things that we have seen with the New England offense maybe not being as humming as it was other points in the season?
No, it's out of respect for Seattle's defense. Is also watching this defense play every single snap this year. And if you just watch the quarterbacks that play well against them, you got to play at a really high level. And understanding it's not the most dynamic offense. They don't have this massive margin for error. The defense is very good. Offense is situationally playing at a high level. But he's going to have to play and throw the ball the best that he has all year for them to win.
Hawk, Maye has been sacked 15 times in these playoffs. How concerned are you when you hear A, shoulder, and B, that he hasn't been lighting it up in the first 3 games?
I am concerned. I'm concerned because, again, you talked about 15 sacks. He's had 6 fumbles. He's had 2 interceptions in these playoffs. And sometimes, like, we let that sweep under the rug because of how some of his opposing quarterbacks have played, like C.J. Stroud one game, had a really tough game, and it didn't show that he also turned the ball over in that game. So when you look at his shoulder, right, you could say, okay, he played tough. It was bad weather that the Patriots are playing in, but you're basically swapping one obstacle for another with that shoulder, not to mention the spectacle that comes with the Super Bowl. And so to Dan's point, Drake is going to have to play at a high level because what we've seen in the playoffs so far does give you cause for concern. Then you mix in that he's a young guy. There's going to be interviews, the cameras, the spectacle that the Super Bowl is, that Sam Darnold, while he wasn't a starter, has experience before.
San Francisco.
That's an advantage. This is a young kid, so you're hoping that this shoulder, even if he's okay, which he's going to play no matter what, it can't be something that also takes up space in his memory brain.
Right.
The next thing, and Adam pointed it out, is going to be the offensive line. They've got to be better in order to win this game. Somebody part of ESPN's production sent me some stats on one individual who's on that offensive line. I will not read those stats because I'm pro offensive lineman here, but that individual in which I would read has to play a whole lot better. And then finally with Vrabel, he's going to make everybody aware of the shoulder that's going on, and then he's going to put it on the guys around him, the other 10 guys in the field, saying you have to elevate your game in order for him to be more successful. Take a little bit of pressure off him, and it starts with the offensive line.
just piggybacking, I think Dan was saying it a little bit earlier, but Drake May is going to have to play his best game of football. I agree with that because when you do look back at the way Stafford had to operate against the Seattle defense, throws being perfect, and also with receivers like Puka Nacua, who can create a little separation, but also doesn't need a whole lot of separation to make unbelievable plays. And then you have Devontae Adams on the other side, who if you're pressing him, he can get all the separation in the world at the top of his route. So Stafford is able to operate in that explosive offense. The Patriots haven't played explosive offenses throughout the playoffs. It's been the Chargers. They were 6 feet under when they got in the playoffs offensively. The Texans, they were 6 feet under when they played. And then the Broncos didn't have their stud quarterback. So going against this offense like that Seattle has, it's going to be all about Drake May playing as close to perfect as he possibly can. And with the injury stuff going on, yeah, it's worrisome. But at the end of the day, the result of this game, nobody is going to care how Drake May felt leading up to it. It's about getting the job done when he gets there.
At 60 minutes, and he can etch his name in NFL history.